Hello all, welcome to Practically, and this is Trinath Chokla. I guess my voice is clear, right? Rajshekhar, hi. Adichan, hi. Hi, good evening. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes. KV Darshan, hi. So, how are you all? Yeah, good evening, good evening. Nice to hear that. So, you guys have started now writing any story? Yeah, I'm good, Rajshekhar. Thank you. Thanks for asking. So, you guys have started any story? Anything, any weird thought? Vilasni, yeah, hi. I'm good. How about you? Charan, hi. Yeah, I guess we can start it off. Okay. So in story elements, we have been discussing about all the story elements. So last session till now, we have discussed all the story elements. I mean, in the last session also we have discussed, these type of story elements. What are all the five types of story elements? I guess everyone can remember it, right? By now. Yeah. Anyone? Anyone wants to give a try? Story elements. I was able to create a story and submit it in the class. Wow, nice. Nice, Rajshekhar. It's good. Yeah, anyone? I'm just waiting for the response, guys. What are all the story elements? Okay, maybe we can discuss it, no problem. So, the setting, we, I'm sorry, the setting, that is nothing but a backdrop. I mean, it got a place, time, and everything. And, you know, the character, plot, theme, and conflict. So, till now, we have discussed about all the story elements except character. So, the character is the one only thing, which is left out. So, today we are going to discuss about the last story element, which is character. So, yeah, yeah, now people are saying it. Thank you. So, character. Why we need a character? I mean, first of all, what is character about? Okay, so character is nothing but we have in the story we have created one character to tell our story, to convey our story, right? So it's actually this way, like a character, it may be the person or the animal or anything. Maybe I can take a book in the whole story. I can take it as a metaphor kind of thing. That's symbolically. Metaphor is nothing but a symbolically kind of thing. So I can project that whole in the whole story. I can project it as a character, because it doesn't mean that we can take only the living things, only the person like hero or animal. It's not like that. I can take a character of anything. For example, if you see Godzilla movie, Godzilla is a character, is one of the character. So Anaconda, anything, if you take anything, because the character is not necessary to only we can take a living things, anything, even dead thing also we can take it, because a pen, maybe whatever, if you take a pen, that is actually revolving the story, that is actually turning the story, or that is actually conveying the story. It could be like anything. So when you have all the elements of story, like the other elements, theme, backdrop, and we discussed about plot, conflict, everything, right? So along with all these elements, we need to have a character also, because whatever the elements we have, we are trying to apply those elements in one of the character, because we are projecting that in the character. For example, if you take a setting of time, backdrop we call it, setting of a time, if it is a present, future, or maybe past, so we are saying that in the character's life, present life of the character, past life, or maybe the future of this character. So I need to create a character instead of saying all this, whatever the other elements which I want to convey it or write it in my story, because without character there are no story. Any story you take it, there are no stories. Okay, that is what we are talking about. What is the importance of character? Because when we are trying to create a character, we should know how to create it, right? Because when in a story, for example, in a particular story, we need one character in order to tell the story to an audience, in order to tell the story. So we need one character. So most of the characters, like in literature you take it, or any character, TV series or movies or whatever you take it, see, it's like they have the character traits. We call it character traits or characterization also. So we will discuss about what exactly they are doing. We need to convey that what that character is about. So if you're you're just maybe you're listening this sessions, you're seeing me as a person every session like 1 hour, right? So you can take myself, I mean a person, like you can take as a character, you can put it in the story, something, a person who wants to become a storyteller. So that is how you can create a story. So whatever the story you're trying to create, the character you need to inbuilt. It's like an inbuilt of the story. How to write a character? Because we have elements. In order to write a story also we have elements. In order to character, we have elements. We need to consider few elements in order to write a character. So how to write a character means, because we need to stick to our basic plot, and as well as we call it a story also. So we need to stick to that, what exactly we are trying to portray, and what exactly the genre we have. Already we discussed it, right? Which genre we need to convey our story. Maybe I want to say that in horror, romance, mystery, anything, science fiction, anything, the genre I need to decide it, and as well as I need to decide what kind of protagonist, I mean to say protagonist means hero. I mean, we'll discuss about it. What kind of protagonist we have, or I want to set it up, or what kind of antagonist I need. Antagonist is anti-person. I mean, anti-hero we call it, villain. So what they are doing it, that means what is their job, how they meet each other. Are they gonna really meet each other, or it's like just I'm creating it? So this is like which we call it as a setting, like time and place. So what place they're trying to meet, or what place? Maybe it's a city, or we can take it as a village. Where exactly they are living it in a geographical way. So either it's a protagonist or antagonist, any character. It's not that only these two characters are available. If you take any character, so we need to confirm these things, genre and protagonist or antagonist. I mean, type of characters we have and type of characters to set it up in the story. And as well as we need to confirm that what exactly their costume. I mean, their appearance, their dressing and all. So how they commute. Like if you see that one character is having, if I am taking a poor guy, I mean economical state, their economical state where maybe they are a poor guy, like a rich person, maybe he's a middle class person. If I take a protagonist or antagonist, their characters, I need to mention their economical condition also. So we need to, actually doing a complete, what do we call, the complete structure of that character. Like whether he is from, which background he is from. If it is a middle class person, does he has a bike or car? Maybe if he's a rich person, maybe he got a Benz car. So how they commute? I mean, that is the transportation. So I need to mention all these things when I'm going to create one character. Okay. So character roles in stories. Well, like if you take any stories, maybe it's a TV, maybe it's for your movies, or maybe it's any of the storytelling classes. You create some character, right? So what type of roles in a generally we have? So we'll discuss about it. So we already discussed in this, I guess in this our previous classes also we have discussed it, like protagonist, antagonist. I used to tell this. So protagonist is nothing but a hero. I mean, in our main lead, our main character, we also call it. So what is protagonist? Protagonist is nothing but a person is having, it got a motivation to reach his goal. Definitely he should be having a motivation, a motivational journey. So here we need to know about two things. When you're writing a character, you need to know two things. One is character backstory. So what is this backstory? See, for example, in your book or in your movie, you are trying to show your character, like for example, the age of 30 years or 40 years or 20 years. So what will happen when you're taking the character of 20 years? What is the backstory of that character? Like from the childhood onwards, you need to write. As a writer, you need to write it from their childhood, because how his mentality, how he has grown up, he or she, you can take it anyone, how they grown up, maybe their locality, we call it, not a geographical locality. I'm talking about their, they have their own elevations, right, in their family situations. Maybe if it's like he's far away from the family, no one is there at family. So if he's an orphan, how he grows up, I mean, that is his journey. So why we need to write this backstory? Because sometimes in my story, I want to show that his backstory, because I want to show that, for example, he got some psychological issues. So how I show that from his childhood onwards, maybe in his childhood, or he or she, their childhood, they got some issue. Maybe they got some accident or any issue happened. So because of that reason, maybe they got some psychological issue. That is how they grown up. Now they are 20 years. Now I'm projecting my character. So in order to, it's not a backstory is not a flashback. Flashback is different. Backstory is different. Backstory is for the characters. What is the backstory of that character? Maybe you can completely show that character backstory, or maybe you can keep it aside. Sometimes we call it in a complete structure of the story when we are trying to narrate the story. So we have one thing called subtext. So subtext means it's not that whatever the plot we have. Okay, so whatever the plot, whatever the story we are running it, there is a subtext, undercurrent, or beneath the water. We are trying to convey one story, or it's like everyone can know it. I mean, everyone can relate to it. So if that is called a subtext. So when we are talking about subtext, I no need to say that, see, this guy is from childhood onwards, he has some issue. I no need to say that. I'm slowly mentioning that in my whole story. I'm narrating in such a way that in a whole story, I'm mentioning he got a psychological issues or disorders from childhood onwards. So one thing is backstory. Either I can show that or not. It is, as a writer, I need to take a call. I mean, that's my decision. And another one we need to discuss about here is a character arc. What is character arc? Character arc is nothing but I am showing this character from place A to place B. Maybe you take it like a place or his destination or his goal. He wants to reach there. Okay. So how he's reaching from A to B in his character transformation, because we already discussed about from his the main character is becoming poor to rich, good to bad, bad to good, right? So we have discussed all this type of genres you take it, are kind of character arcs. So this is the way I want to convey a person, or I want to showcase this type of person. Maybe he's a bad person in the starting of the story. By end of the story, he's becoming, maybe he got a wisdom kind of thing, and he is is a good person now in the end of the story. So it is like my point of view as a writer, my point of view, how I want to convey this story, right? Antagonist. So we already know that antagonist is like a villain. So everyone knows that antagonist is like a sorry, anyone? I didn't see this. The voice, yeah, Joker. But is my voice okay? Or anyone having the issue? Am I audible, guys? Sorry, someone mentioned it. I didn't see that. Yeah, okay. So antagonist, yeah, Joker. Someone mentioned that. It's a villain. See, if we want to show that one thing is good. If you take our Ramayana, Mahabharata, anything, any holy books, if you take one good thing, maybe if you flick that, there is another bad thing is there. Love interest. Love interest is nothing but protagonist, object of desire. So protagonist is got something. I mean, he got something. He or she, they have. We have given one role to protagonist, right? So one character, design of the character. See, love interest is nothing but a kind of lover. You call it. Maybe it's not necessary to be in design a character, because sometimes we can see a character without having their love life. Maybe we can design it. It depends on the story, as we have already discussed it. Story type, whatever the story or plot you want to convey it. So in that plot, in that narrative story, you will get this type of characters, because protagonist is a main character, antagonist is a kind of, maybe you can take it in a, we already discussed antagonist is nothing but sometimes we can take in Godzilla, a creature. Okay, that is an antagonist. Sometimes we can, when we discussed all these things, when we are talking about conflict, right, what type of conflict we can put for protagonist and as well as antagonist. Maybe you can take an antagonist of a nature, as we discussed that tsunami, like nature, I mean many people have died. So it's like it depends on how you want to portray your story. What is your story about? Okay. And confident, it's like you can see this buddy characters. This is called buddy characters, like few friends are going to somewhere, some other place. They want to go and refresh or something kind of thing, like nature. They want to enjoy the nature, but some unexpectedly some issue happened. Then what they have done, how they have come out of this. This is the story. If I say that this is the story, I mean, I'm talking about story means this is the outline of the story. So when there is a best friend of the protagonist, maybe he's like a kind of person who is next to him every time. We call it as a a sidekick characters. They'll be next to the protagonist. They'll follow him. They may fight each other. Again, they may patch up. It depends on, that is how normally how we design it. How our best friend, protagonist is the main character, as we discussed. Protagonist also, he's also a human being, right? Though we are saying it's a hero, it doesn't, that is the reason I'm not mentioning the term called hero. Maybe we can call it a superheroes, only the heroes sometimes. But hero is nothing but a person who can do anything with the magical also. But protagonist is a person, he also got some flaws. He's also like us, a human being. So he has also got some friends, few friends, maybe the close friend. So sidekick character we call it. So we need to create that environment. Protagonist is also having a few bunch of friends, you can call it. Maybe in that, maybe one best friend, right? So that is how we need to create it. Horatio, anyone if read the book of Shakespeare's Hamlet, you can find this character. And the next one is, this is a very, very important thing, 3 dimensions of a character. So whenever you're writing a character, you need to write it in with these elements. Like, in order to write a character, these elements are very, very important, because these are all the questions. You are creating a question, on that characters. I'm not checking anything. Yeah. So 3 dimensions of a character. For example, the main characters, when you are creating it, any character, be it a protagonist, be it an antagonist, be it a confident, that is a friend character, best friend character. Any main character you are creating it, because we have different characters, like many other characters. Maybe you can see that character in 5 minutes of the the length of the movie, or maybe in the book. So those characters are like a guest type of characters. They'll come, they'll appear, and they will do something, the action we call it, and they will disappear. That's how it should be. So not that character. I'm not talking about a 5 minutes character or small characters. I'm talking about a main characters. What are all the characters you have designed? Maybe you, in your story, is like there is a scope in your story. You can write the characters like 5 to 6 characters or main characters. Maybe you can write it. The importance how you are giving it as a writer. This is your point of view. See, the story you want to convey it. So whenever you are writing main characters, we need to identify, or we need to specifically mention that what are all these 3 dimensions. Okay, one is physical. Physical means what is their, like how their characters, what, the attitude also, like how they are, the physically, you know, are they athlete, are they fit, are they like any patient? You're showing a character of one patient, maybe they're thin and they're lean, maybe. See, that is your physical character, how it shows. Is it a male or female, or maybe the transgender character? So you want to convey it like their world, or you're trying to, you know, regarding this, why we need a physical character in a designing. You need to design it such a way, this is called a designing. Okay, when you are creating a character design, so physical is very very important, how you are showing it. Because if you want to show a sports person, you need to show him like he's a bodybuilder, and he's is a kind of he's maintaining his body. He or she, you can take it. In Dangal movie, he was giving instructions to, or you know, to his children, maybe the girls. Though girls, he's waking them up like early morning, right? So they are doing a kind of like according to their story. That is what I'm talking about. I just code it like specifically. It's according to your story. You need to create or design your character in such a way how they want to physically appear in your story. That is very important. And psychological, this is very important, because physical, how they are, and psychological. In a psychological means we cannot show that, right? I mean, we cannot show means it's not a appeared thing like physical. If he's thin, or if he's you know, kind of male or female, this you can easily know that by looking at the character. You will come to know that. If it is a book, you need to mention it. That's a different story. I mean, if it is a book, you need to try and type it, or you know, write it in such a way. But if it is a movie I'm talking about, definitely you will come to know that he's a male or female, or whatever the transgender he is, or he or she is. So whatever it is. But in a psychological, we cannot show that in a kind of, you cannot identify. Maybe you can see that person is good, but how is he? Is he an introvert or extrovert, an outspoken person or not? Sometimes we need to have these questions. Sometimes we see people are shy, okay, and you know, they got a patience, or like they got short tempered, they get angry immediately. So are they greedy, or like they are sensitive enough? So we need to mention, I mean, these questions need to raise by yourself. Are they competitive? Are they take it in a lighter manner? Because anything comes, it's okay, chill pill guy. Like how he is, what kind of mentality he got, what kind of you know, the attitude he's showing it. Maybe his fear, is he fear of God? I mean, does he believe, he or she believe the God or not? So these are all things. Either religious beliefs, if they have anything, a political, or it's actually a psychological. What he believes. Maybe he's you know, opposing one political party, or maybe he's actually you know, inclined towards anything, any of this political party, you call it, or maybe he wants to study something, PhD kind of thing. He wants to do something. That is how, what is his sensibilities. So we need to ask all these questions to ourselves. As a writer, we need to create it, right? And the social, the third dimension is social. What is social? Maybe he's a single, or he's a kind of married, he got a kids or not. Is he a diverse person? He or she, okay, how their living style. I mean, social in the sense how their living style, because are they with their parents? Are they left their parents? I mean, are they alive or not? I mean, I'm talking about parents. So how they are, their social beliefs. Like it is also like, do they have a job? I mean, are they going it? What is the, if you want to show that, the work also, what is the nature of their work? I mean, what exactly they are doing it when they are going to the job? Are they interested about the job? or they want to quit it, or they want to looking, or they are looking for any career change. So these are all the, you know, everything, this economy. We discussed about this, how they are in social economy. Are they middle class, poor, rich? So these are all the things we need to ask questions. Whom you're asking these questions? To yourself. Because we, as a writer, I am creating the world, right? I am creating something where this character believes all this, how they have grown up, as we discussed from the beginning of this, how they have grown up, what exactly they have done. Because every character, how you are creating it is, you know, for the most priority thing is, there should be some flaw. Anything, anything you can take it, it's a flaw, because the character might be having some issues, goals. He needs to, go with that goals. He's having some desire. He doesn't like his job, or he doesn't like his business, whatever it is, whatever he got, inclined toward. So that is how we'll create a conflict, right? Because if you have all these elements, just remember or recollect the things, like any movies or any books you have read. So if you try to raise these questions by yourself, you will definitely get a conflict. How to create a conflict? If you answer these questions, maybe one of the thing, he or she doesn't like it, that is a conflict. Or one of the thing, he wants to achieve it, maybe his goal, that is the conflict. That becomes a conflict, right? Because he is a middle class person. Maybe you can take it a middle class person, right? His economy, social economy, he wants to become a rich, in the sense he wants to get some Benz car. Maybe his goal, if you take it, what he has done in order to get it, maybe that becomes a story, that becomes his journey, what he has done for that, how he's getting all the money and all, what are all the actions he has taken in order to change his life. That is not possible in overnight, right? Because if he wish to become a rich person, that won't happen in overnight. He need to work a lot. That is the journey, we call it. That is a hero's journey. Maybe you can take it as a story. That becomes a story, actually. Okay. And we are talking about character archetypes. See, every character is a kind of transformation types. That is called arc. Because arc is nothing but a curve. It's a graph. You can see that any arc. Maybe how the character is. It should not be like a normal flat characters. If you create a flat characters, you yourself won't see that type of characters, because you feel like boring. Sorry, 1 second. It just stuck. So yeah, thank you. You feel like boring, because if it is a flat character, what you will do with that character? That character is trying to convey something. Maybe you will get some information out of that character. Maybe you can correlate to that character. As I've told you, the middle class character, maybe many people, because most of the people are in a middle class economic. So obviously we will relate to that character. Yeah, I'm also like this. I also believe, my belief system is also like this, and I also expect the similar way. I want to become rich. So I can correlate to my character. So that is the reason many people will get a chance to read your story, or maybe they can watch your movie, because your story is good, and correlating to many people. It's a representation. Whatever the story you're writing it, or maybe you're showing that in the picture or movie, we call it, that is a representation of the society. As we discussed, that how you are creating these characters, because you need to create it. It's not that you will get a dream and you're writing a character. It's not like that. It should be like, maybe you might have seen many characters in your day-to-day journey, or maybe your father or your mother. Many people might have told you different types of characters in their life. So you can take them as an example and create some different characters, create some flaws in the character, so that everyone can correlate to that. Because as a human beings, no one is perfect, right? Anyone, everyone, you can call it, maybe they have some other flaw. So you also represent the similar way in the characters also in your story, because that creates your story like a, you know uh, realistic manner. You can see that, and as an audience I can correlate to that, right? So we'll talk about character archetypes. The hero, these archetypes, you can see that in the name itself. Those are the types, or those are the character types I want to convey it. Hero is like nothing but, which we already discussed, this type of genres also, like his journey. What are all his strength, whatever the strengths he has, maybe his courage, his honest, he wants to prove something, his desire. This is the hero. Maybe he got some weakness also. That is what I've told you. You need to put some conflict. Maybe that weakness or conflict is nothing but he got some overconfident. That happens, right? That is how we are. That is how the human being. And the magician is nothing but who will be achieving in a magical manner his goal. You are creating such a maybe we can call it a superheroes. The magician, he is trying to achieve his goal any way, any cost, in any circumstances. The outlaw is nothing but who is abiding the law. Maybe it's in a crime, they are in, I mean, indulge in a crime. You can also show them that they are bad people or bad guys. But the transformation, see, if you start a story, maybe he's a bad guy. You started with the outlaw, but at the end of the story, maybe he'll become a hero, the hero journey. So that is how the character arc, it should be like that. It should not be a flat. So he started the journey from A, and his journey started and he's going with the B, and as well as his destination is C. You can create it such a way. It's not that flat kind of characters you can create. The explorer, the name itself, we can see that you're exploring something. He's curious to know about it. He or she, you can take it like, you can take children would be a characters, like children's. Maybe you're taking a children movie. If you take that, they want to escape from their parents sometimes, because of many issues. Maybe their parents are fighting each other every day. Maybe children wants to escape. So they are going somewhere, they are exploring something. Then they found, I mean, meanwhile, because they are not they are missing now. So kids are missing. So meanwhile, this father and mother came to know that what exactly they have done, the mistake. So by the end of the story, they will meet their children, and as well as the happy ending kind of thing. These both people will also understand each other. So this is how you can create a story. This is how it's a realistic manner. Okay, the sage. See, you are getting a wisdom kind of thing. A character, you are creating it. Maybe you are creating it with their experience. They got a wisdom. Obviously, like for example, if you take an example of any character, like even Dangal movie only, because we can take many people have watched that movie. So that person who got an experience, because he is not fighting, he is not getting into that wrestling kind of thing. Only thing is, he is giving all the guidance. The hero character, I'm talking about American's character, he is giving guidance to that. So how is giving a guidance? All of suddenly he got a dream and he is giving a guidance. It's not like that. He has been working, and his experience made him to guide, right? So that is how we need to create it. It's like we need to create in such a way, whatever the character, he's a main lead. He's also a main lead. It's not a protagonist, but he's also a main lead character. So how we are deciding that, or what we want to show that. These things are very, very important. The innocent, it's like a more pure character. We call it like few innocent people, very honest. What they want to show that, you know, like their strength. You can show that in that. See, in this story, I want to create a character which is he's an innocent guy. If I feel that, I'll create it. That is how the story or the character will develop. Okay, and the ruler. So it's like you can see a powerful IAS character, powerful IPS character. So it's like they are ruling something. Maybe a powerful politician character, you can see that. So these are different types of characters which, when you are creating it in your story itself, the story will lead you, the plot will lead you. I need this character. If you put this character, this will elevate, the story will elevate. Our story will go to next turn, maybe next curve, we call it. So this is how we need to take it, like the everyman. It's like it's there in, as I've told you, the relatable person. Same, in Dangal movie, American's character, it's a relatable person. They have given him like a Bajaj Chetak scooter. So it's a very old one, because they have given it like contemporary at that point. I mean, at the time period which they have taken it, it's 80s or 90s or whatever. So how his middle class life is, they are showing it in his middle class life. So it's every man or every middle class person can relate to him, because he got some desire, he wants to fulfill that desire, but unfortunately he couldn't do that. That is the reason he is aiming that to fulfill or complete those desires through his children. So that is what a person, that is how normally, see, that is the flaw, right? As a hero, he can do anything, he can create anything. It's not like that. So he has also got a flaw, because he was not succeeded in his life. He wants his children to succeed. That is what his goal. So now comes to dialogues. So in every movie or every character you create, you call it like be it a book, you can take it as a short film, or you can take it as a play or anything. These dialogues are very, very, very important, because it doesn't mean that without having dialogues also we got a mookie movies, but they are expressions or expressing their views in a action format. Without dialogue, whatever the person is doing in the movie or in the book or anything, that is called action part. With the dialogue, he is saying that, so that is called the dialogue part. So whatever he is just going outside. Okay, he just takes his bike and going outside. That is the action part. If he meets someone and he's asking about, hey, how are you? That is the dialogue. I mean, that comes to the dialogue part. But this is the action part. So now we are discussing about dialogues also. Dialogues are very, very important in order to portray your character. As we discussed that, see, the rare cases are different, but in general, I'm talking about in general point of view, dialogues are very, very important. Because when you are creating a dialogue, or when you're writing a dialogue, you're saying that the dialogue to an audience. You means, as a writer, you're conveying the dialogue to an audience through character, through one of the character, right? So who is taking care of that character? Means the actor. One actor is actually acting as a kind of that character, whatever the character you have created. So it's an acting kind of thing, right? So how to write natural dialogues? Because most of the people, you can say, I can say, most of the people in our day-to-day life, we won't talk in a kind of punch dialogues, or we won't talk it in a kind of a different dialogues. Why? Because everyone is like, we talk in a natural, or I can say neutral. We talk it in a normal way. It doesn't mean that every dialogue, whatever you you say that if I'm giving a punch to that, that won't make sense. I mean, that's not the way how our conversation, right? So how to write natural dialogues in such a way? Okay, so whatever the genre, because the dialect, we call it a dialogue, is dialect is maybe whatever the religion, I'm talking about religion and region which you are taking it. So according to that, the dialect will come. For example, if you take Telangana and if you take Andhra, they have different slang. We also call it as a slang. So we need to, when we are writing it, we need to write it in such a way that natural dialogues. Okay, how effective the character, in the sense the character transformation and character design, how I am creating, how I have created it. A similar way, the dialogue also I need to create in such a way that it's relatable to an audience, to a general person. Like it's relatable to you and me, and it's a believable. It's not, as I've told you, it's not that you're creating a dialogue which no one knows it. Maybe the vocabulary you are using it, it's like it's a normal way. It's a conversation. I feel the dialogue is nothing but a conversation of two people, maybe three people, or whatever it is. So actor, the main thing is, in order to do that, we need to follow few things. So actor is speaking of the characters dialogue, whatever the character you have created. We discussed about few characters, and we discussed about the character traits also. Traits means nothing but the three dimension of the characters. So actor is talking about talking on this kind of character. So whatever the character you are creating, the actor is also, he or she needs to agree to that, and we need to make that each character sound distinct. Why? Because you are the person, only one writer. You are writing four characters or five characters, so they should not sound in a similar manner, right? Because end of the day, you are writing it. You are the whole whole and soul for that complete story. And also, I mean, you are the person who created that actors, or I'm talking about characters world. So when you create that world, you will be having some idea about, okay, he is a driver, how driver needs to talk. He is a politician, how he needs to talk. I mean, the way of talking I'm talking about. And as well as if you take a sales guy, if a salesperson comes, how he interacts with you. You cannot write in such a way every character is behaving a similar kind of thing. It should not happen. In our real life, it should not happen, right? Like we cannot talk everyone in each and every individual I'm talking about. So everyone got their own things to do and own way to deliver it. Any dialogue, any dialect also, right? So that means you need to incorporate their confidence levels in that, how they talk, how their dialogue is, and their energy level. You need to create it. This is your job as a writer. You need to create it. And the next one is develop a character relationship. The relationship is nothing but you need to create a relationship between the character and the dialogue. That means the character is talking about something where he's conversing, he or she is conversing to another person. Conversation is happening in both the characters. How their relationship is, that is how we are creating. I mean to say, that is how the story, whatever the story we have created, that is progressing. See, if I say something, a dialogue, as an actor, or the character I'm talking about, if I say some dialogue, if you give me an option, you offered me an interview, or you offered me a job, where in the interview panel, if I say that I don't like it, so that means that is what I'm conveying it. So that is what I'm rejecting the offer itself. So that is how it should be. I mean, there should be a relationship between the character and the dialogue. And we need to interrupt others' conversation, like how it is, what it exactly. Because, for example, in a day-to-day conversation, if you go and meet one person, he or she would be talking to you. Hey, hi, how are you? All this in a normal conversation. And I am also talking, you are also interacting with them. Okay. In this interaction, we won't wait for in a normal interaction. I'm talking about if you meet them in a coffee day. So how you talk to your friend, how you talk to your lecturer, it should be like a normal or regular interaction, because you need to interrupt sometimes. What we will do? Hey, sorry for the interruption. Can I ask this question? So this is how it should be. This is how you will talk, right? It's not that you will wait for other person to complete his dialogue. See, in few movies or few things, you can see that they need to complete their dialogue. Then only we can say that. So that should not happen in real life. In order to make the dialogues in a natural or neutral kind of thing, every character needs to correlate to the dialogues. The dialogue should be in a kind of interruption. This is general thing, right? We need to interrupt others in order to talk something. Hey, sorry for the interruption. I need to leave right now. So I will say that. So that is how it should be. So this is the dialogue. I don't wait for completion of your dialogue, then I will say my dialogue. It won't happen in maybe it will happen in a few movies, but it won't happen in real time, right? And read your dialogue out loud. So why we need to read it means, see, whatever the dialogue you're writing it as a writer, you're writing it. Maybe you can see that it's very good. Whatever I have written, maybe I feel that yeah, it's good. But when you are reading it aloud, so that you will come to know what exactly the issue or the problem you are making it. Because sometimes that is the reason we need to read aloud in order to find mistakes in it. If there is any mistakes, maybe you have written in a foul language or something unknowingly, maybe when you're writing it. So you will come to know that what are exactly the mistakes you have written. So this is how all the dialogues will create the impact of the story also, because without dialogues we can't imagine our stories. Without dialogues we can't even imagine what will happen to our regular world I'm talking about, because everyone is interacting each other. So these are all the points which you follow. Definitely you can create a general point of view dialogues. I feel it's my personal thing. I can say that don't write dialogues, only write conversations, because that is what will happen in our day-to-day life. So we won't wait for someone to complete their dialogue. We'll wait for whatever the opportunity. I mean, whatever that subject we are talking about. I'll wait for that, and I'll say that hey, that is not the way. This is the way. I'll interrupt you, and I'll say that this is the general kind of conversation, right? So these are all the things we have completed our story elements and dialogues also, like how to write dialogues. Yes, the questions, guys. uh, Manvita sir, how the dialogue affect the story? Oh, you have deleted it. Maybe we have discussed it, right? That might be the reason. uh, yeah, dialogue, because whatever the dialogue that will progress the story, that is how the protagonist or the main lead is taking an action. Manvita, sir, can a story continues without a villain? Yes, there are chances, because see, situation sometimes you can see it's not that a physical villain you want to show. Sometimes the situation is a villain. For example, as we discussed in the last session, I guess, a person who is happy-go-lucky guy, everything is good, but unfortunately he got some issue like a cancer or something. Maybe he can't, he doesn't have a time, maybe 6 months or 1 year time, he will die. So how you are creating it, that situation. I mean, whom he needs to blame. See, that is his situation, right? So the situation is a protagonist. One second. Himanshi, what is protagonist meaning? Protagonist is a main lead. Protagonist is a main lead. Oh, okay. You joined late. Yeah, we discussed about protagonist. He's a main lead. Yeah, any questions, guys? We call it a hero also. Protagonist is. Antagonist is anti-hero or villain. Yeah. Any questions? So now I can say you can start writing the story because we have completed all the elements of the story. So we have, I mean, we have sessions like different things, but I can say if you want to create a story, you need to go through all these things, all these elements, write all these elements. Okay. So I find no questions. Yeah, project in writing a story. Yeah, Himanshi. The thing is, I was waiting to complete all this. I'll give you guys a tip kind of thing, how to write stories in that. See, if you take Chandamama or any books or anywhere you can find it in the Google, you can take a small story. Small means 200 to 300 or 400 word story. For example, if you get a 500 word story, so if you are taking it, take that story, read it for some time, like 2 or 3 times, I can say. Try to understand what exactly the story about. So what you can do is, this is actually best tip I can say, because I have done in um, my previous writings. So how to improve your writing is, you have a story of 500 words, for example. That's a very small story, maybe enlightenment story or anything. You take any story. So how you are, I mean, there is a task you can, you yourself create a homework kind of thing, or task or project you call it. So make that story into 1,000 words, because it is a 500 word story. It's a very small story. Make it to 1,000 word story. How you are going to make it? Because we should have three options in each and every story in order to progressive, or in order to lengthen the story. How these three things are? One is, yeah, I'll tell you about these three things, then we'll take the question. So one thing is, this is the 500 words of story. You need to make it 1,000 words. You need to create more dialogues in the story, right? The conversation what they have, you need to create few dialogues. So you cannot go with the more dialogues of the story, right? So what you need to do, if there are two characters in the story or three characters in the story, you need to create another character, maybe new character. You got, we have discussed about most of the characters, right? So you can take another character and create it. Or you can create, I mean, first one is dialogue, second one is character you can create, third one is you can create any situation or include another story in it. For example, if a person, maybe you guys would know this story, I'll just tell you. I'll in a kind of story kind of thing. One person who wants to who is a salesman, who comes to your house is a salesman. when he's talking about something, so he's trying to discuss about any products what he bought. So you can see, you both are talking, you and salesman both are talking. In this story you have only two persons, but make creation of another person, maybe his boss. He's dreaming about his boss, that his boss is a manager or whatever you call it, team leader or manager. He's saying that today is the last day for your job, because if you won't do any single sale, you will be out of this job. So you are creating something, and you are creating conflict also. So you can create a conflict, you can create another story, you can create few dialogues, or you can create a kind of characterization also, or character also, in a different character. You can introduce another character. Maybe your parents will come at that moment, so they are talking in something. That is how the story will progress, right? So this is what the project is. Can you repeat the definition of the plot and the elements of plot? Actually, Manvita, we discussed about a plot. Plot is nothing but a story. Okay. So plot exactly means, as I've told you in the last session, I don't know how many of you read it. Go to any of the movie you watched in Google, in Wikipedia, for that Wikipedia page of that movie, you have a section called plot. So read completely, you will come to know what exactly the plot is. Because the problem starts, story is complete story. Plot is when the problem starts and when the problem ends. That is the plot, generally. And how it, what are all the elements, what are all the events you have in the plot. How I am, writing a progressive plot. That should be progressive. So you can just do that. No, it's Himanshi, it's not that submitting the project. So this is your, it's not that one person is checking your project. It is like you yourself, self-help. Okay, you need to do that. So you can do that, no worries. You can just 500 words stories, you can find it in the Google. So find it, any story. So try to, you have all the elements now, you got all the elements. So try to write according to these elements. Try to make it to the 1,000 words story, maybe more than that. If you are making more than that, it's really good. So try these stories, one story per day. If you are making it for 10 stories, you will come to know how to develop a story, how to create a conflict, how to create a character, and how to write a dialogue. Okay, so I'm sure this will help you in your complete next 10 days if you are doing that. So I'm sure this will really help you to write new stories. Manvita, sir, having many characters can affect the story. It's not like that. Yeah, Adichan, it's a 500 to 1,000 words, not 100 words. You're expanding the story. 500 word story is there. You're you're trying to make it 1,000 words. Okay, many characters can affect, so it won't happen. Okay, many characters if you have, you as a writer, you need to have a creativity kind of thing, or clarity about what are all these characters about. So that one, it's not affecting story. Story will never affect, but you need to know how you are trying to convey the story. So stories won't affect. Yeah, Adichan, 500 to 1,000 words. So that how you are improvising, you will come to know that if you do one story per day, I'm sure you will be writing a story. It's like you will come to know all these elements. Whatever the elements we have discussed so far, you will come to know that. I'm sure you yourself can write a story. All right. We have exceeded our time. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.